Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be doing IGCSE Biology paper 1-2. This paper is 45 minutes and there's 40 questions on this paper, so that's worth 40 marks. May June 2022 series. Okay, let's go. So, first question. All living organisms release energy from nutrient molecules within their cells. What is the name of this characteristic? So, whenever an organism releases energy, the process they undergo is respiration. So, therefore, the answer is C. Okay. Which levels of classification are shown in the scientific name of an organism using the binomial system? So, firstly, when you're talking about the binomial system, how you name species would be first using the genus, followed by the species. Okay, so which levels of classification shown in the scientific name of an organism? It will be genus and species. So therefore, the answer will be C, right? Because kingdom is not in it. Next, the diagram shows an arthropod that lives on land. To which group of arthropods does this animal belong? Arachnids, crustaceans, insects, or myriapods? Okay, so firstly, we realize that this arthropod has 8 legs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It has 8 legs. It has a connected head and thorax, so it's known as a cephalothorax, and an abdomen. Therefore, you can conclude that this is an arachnid, a spider. Okay. Question 4. The diagram shows a cross-section through 2 guard cells of a leaf. Which labeled structures will also be found in an animal cell? Right, so firstly, W is a nucleus, X is a cell membrane, Y is a chloroplast, and Z is the cell wall. Right, so which of these two is found in animal cells also? Would be W and X. Therefore, the answer will be A. Question 5. The table shows some structures found in the human body. Which row shows the correct level of organization from the simplest to the most complex? So, here they give you a few phrases or words. So, the smallest organization structure would be a cell, followed by tissue, followed by an organ, and lastly organ system. Okay, so which row matches this order? So which is cell first? So it's red blood cell, right? So B and D is wrong. So first it has to be A or C, followed by tissue. So compared to heart and heart muscle, which is a tissue, the heart muscle is a tissue, right? Therefore the answer is C. The diagram shows an animal. The actual length of an animal is 0.6 millimeters. What is the magnification of the diagram? Right. So, magnification equals image over actual. Therefore, your image size is 60 divided by 0.6. Your answer would be 100 times, right? Or I should say times 100. So, answer is B. Question 7. By which process does oxygen move from a region of higher concentration in the alveoli to a region of lower concentration in the blood? So, if this is the alveoli, and this is the blood vessel. So when oxygen moves from the alveoli into the blood vessel, this process is known as diffusion because it's not breathing, because breathing is inhaling and exhaling air. Active transport is incorrect because it's from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration, down a concentration gradient. It's not osmosis because it's not water, right? Okay, therefore the answer is C. Question 8. The diagram shows a section through a mesophyll cell of a leaf. Which part is partially permeable? The only one that's partially permeable is B, the cell membrane, so that it can manage the things that go in and out of the cell. Okay. Question 9. What are the smaller basic units of starch and glycogen molecules? So starch and glycogen are the food storage molecules. So therefore, they're both made of glucose. Okay. Amino acids make up proteins. Fatty acid and glycerol makes up fats or lipids. Right? Okay. Or to be more specific, triglycerides. Okay. Which type of molecules are enzymes made of? So enzymes are biological catalysts, which are proteins. Okay. 11. The diagram shows two food tests being carried out on solution X, burette and Benedict's. Okay, so when you're doing a burette test using the burette solution, you're testing for presence of protein. But using Benedict's, you're testing for reducing sugar. Okay, positive for protein would be purple, right? So this is positive. Positive for reducing sugar will be red, so this is also positive. So therefore, the answer is protein and sugar, B. It's not protein and starch because in starch, the glucose are all in one molecule. But since you're testing for reducing sugar, the glucose will not react with the Benedict solution to produce a red color because it's in one long molecule instead of being individual glucose molecules instead. So if you want to test for starch, you would use iodine solution. Okay. Which chemical is a product of photosynthesis that moves out of a green leaf through its stomata? Okay, so photosynthesis, the equation goes like carbon dioxide plus water, you get glucose plus oxygen, right? So therefore, the only gaseous product that can move out of the stomata would be oxygen. Okay. In a leaf, water moves from the surface of a mesophyll cell and out of the leaf into the atmosphere. What is the correct order of the processes involved? Okay, so when water moves from the surface of a mesophyll cell and then out of the leaf to the atmosphere, this is known as transpiration. So how does the transpiration process occur? First, the water would evaporate from the mesophyll cell and then out of the leaf by diffusion of water vapor, right? It's not osmosis because the water is in gaseous form. Okay. The table shows some different components in a balanced diet. Which row correctly matches the components to reasons why they are needed? Okay, right. So, out of these three, vitamin, water, and fats. Let's see. Fats are used for insulation. Water is used for transport. Vitamin D is used for bone growth. Okay. Fats is used for insulation because generally animals have fats to form like a thick layer of heat to trap heat in the body. Water is used for transport because 60% of your body is water. Even if you don't know vitamin D is for bone growth, you can figure out the answer by using water and fats. Okay. Which process involves the removal of material from the rectum? Okay, so egestion is defecation. Ingestion is eating, right? Chemical digestion is the processes in the stomach where you have the acidic conditions. Mechanical digestion would be like chewing, right? So therefore, the process of removing material from the rectum would be egestion. Okay. 16. The diagram shows the human alimentary canal with a string marked in meters behind it. Okay, so this is the alimentary canal. How long is the small intestine? The small intestine starts at the end of the stomach, so right here, and before the large intestine, so right here. So 7 minus 1 equals 6, therefore 6 meters. Okay. Question 17. The diagram shows a cross-section of a part of a plant. Which part of the plant is shown and what's the tissue label H? Right. So whenever you see a plus sign in the cross-section, you know it's a root. Okay. root will always have the plus sign, and the tissue would be phloem. Okay, H will be a phloem, the plus will be a xylem. Therefore, plant part will be a root, tissue H is phloem, answer is A. The apparatus shown can be used to investigate the effects of temperature and humidity on the rate of transpiration. Which set of conditions will give the highest rate of transpiration and the greatest decrease in mass? Okay, so they want highest rate of transpiration, so the conditions where the plant will lose the most water. So if it's hotter, the plant will lose more water because the plant needs to cool himself down. So it's either C or D. Humidity, a low humidity would be better for higher transpiration rate because the water potential gradient would be much larger, right? Therefore, answer is D. Which row correctly links the blood vessels with their functions? Carries blood to the right atrium of the body, carries blood from the right ventricle to the lungs, carries blood from the lungs to the left atrium. Okay, so when you're carrying blood from the heart to the heart from the body, it has to be from a vein. This is a vein. From the right ventricle to the lungs, so it's an artery going away from the heart. From the lungs to the atrium would be a vein. From the ventricle to the body would be an artery, right? So there's two veins and two arteries, right? So between vena cava and aorta, which one is a vein? Vena cava is the vein, so therefore B and C is wrong, right? So for this one, carries blood from the right ventricle to the lungs. Which one between A and D is an artery? A is the artery, right? Pulmonary artery. So therefore, final answer is A. 20. Which process is slower than normal in a person with very few platelets? So platelets is involved in blood clotting, right? It's how you form scabs. Okay, therefore, blood clotting. Which disease is caused by a pathogen, right? So cholera is caused by Vibrio cholerae. Vibrio cholerae. Okay, so this is the name of the bacteria that causes cholera. So this is the answer. Coronary heart disease is caused by high cholesterol. Lung cancer is caused by mutations. Scurvy is caused by lack of vitamin C. Okay. 22. The photograph shows a positive test for the presence of carbon dioxide gas. Okay. So it's a cloudy solution. It's a clear solution. So as you add in the gas, it will turn cloudy. Okay. So which reagent is being used in the test tube? Very simply, it's lime water. It turns cloudy in presence of CO2, right? DCPIP is test for vitamin C. Burette is for protein. Benedict is for reducing sugar. Okay. 23. What is the word equation for anaerobic respiration in yeast? Right. So yeast in anaerobic conditions will produce alcohol. Okay. But since it's respiration, carbon dioxide is also produced, right? Anaerobic respiration in mammals, for example, will produce lactic acid. But since it's in yeast, it will produce alcohol. Okay. Answer is B. A student uses this apparatus to investigate the rate of aerobic respiration in wood lice. Okay, so this is the apparatus set up. Which statement describes and explains the movement of the color liquid when the wood lice are respiring? The color liquid moves towards the test tube because the wood lice are using carbon dioxide. Okay, so in this scenario, the chemicals will absorb the carbon dioxide, right? And there will be oxygen molecules in the test tube from the air. So the wood lice will respire and they will release CO2. Okay? They will take up the oxygen and they will release CO2. However, the CO2 is being absorbed by the chemical. So therefore, the volume of oxygen and CO2 in this environment will decrease. So therefore, the colored liquid will move to the left towards the test tube to somewhere around here, right? Because there's less pressure in this test tube and there's a lower volume of gas, so therefore the liquid will move left. Okay, so the colored liquid moves towards the test tube because the fluid lights are using oxygen as the answer. Okay, 24 B. Okay, 25. Which organ excretes urea? Okay, so the only organ that will excrete urea is kidney when it filters your blood. Okay. 26. Reflex arc. So this person is touching a fire. What is the function of the part labeled P? Okay, so P would be, so this is a sensory neuron. How do you know it's a sensory neuron? The main body is towards the side of the long neuron, right? Okay, this is a relay neuron because it's the shortest one, and this is a motor neuron because it's connected to a muscle, right? So this is a motor neuron. So what's the function of a motor neuron? Is to pass impulse to the effector. In this case, it's the muscles. Okay. Which endocrine gland produces insulin? Okay, very simply, adrenal gland is for adrenaline, ovary is for estrogen, okay, testes is for testosterone, and lastly, pancreas, insulin, right? Therefore, the endocrine gland that produces insulin would be the pancreas. Where in the body are the blood temperature receptors? Answer is the brain. So the blood will go to the brain. The brain will detect the temperature of the blood, and then by homeostasis, it will record, and it will give negative feedback to decrease the temperature of the blood if it's high, or increase the temperature of the blood if it's low. Okay. The graph shows the relationship between deaths from lung cancer, and the number of cigarettes smoked per day. Cigarettes contain tobacco. Okay, which statement is a possible conclusion? Okay, a person will die of lung cancer only if they smoke. That is incorrect, because as you see, if a person that smokes 0 cigarettes still suffer from lung cancer, right? So A is wrong. Okay, B, a person's health is only affected if they smoke more than 10 cigarettes per day. That is also incorrect, because in this case, you see, smoking more than 10 cigarettes per day, the person's health is still affected. The graph still increases below 10 cigarettes per day, so therefore B is wrong. C, a person will have less chance of dying of lung cancer if they smoke fewer cigarettes. This is correct because this shows a linear graph going upwards. So therefore, if you smoke fewer cigarettes, right, the chance of dying from lung cancer is lower. So C is the correct answer. It shows a relationship. D, if a person smokes more than 40 cigarettes per day, the risk of dying from lung cancer is the same as a person who smokes 40 cigarettes per day. So for this, you don't know if this is correct or not. It doesn't show on the graph, so therefore the answer is wrong. You cannot assume that the graph will continue going up like this. The graph may plateau or the graph may decrease, right? You don't know, so therefore D is wrong. Okay, 30. The statements refer to reproduction. A zygote is formed. Offspring are genetically identical to the parent. 2 gamete nuclei fuse together. Which statements refer to sexual reproduction? Okay, so sexual reproduction involves the fertilization process, right? With the male and female gametes. Male and female. So which of these involves fertilization between the male and female gametes? 1. A zygote is formed. So the zygote is the product of fertilization, so 1 is correct. Offspring are genetically identical, this is wrong. Offspring will never be genetically identical to the parent when you're fertilizing a male and female gamete. Okay, 2 gamete nuclei fused together, this is correct. Okay, therefore the answer is B. What's the name of the ball of cells that's formed soon after fertilization in humans? Okay, the answer is an embryo. Embryo is the name of the ball of cells. Okay. 32. The diagram shows the inheritance of sex in humans. So a man and a woman have 1 female child. What's the chance of the couple's next child being female? Okay. This is a trick question. The answer is 50% because the chance of getting male and female would be 50% each time, right? They already have 1 female child. What's the chance of the couple's next child being female? The chance is still 50-50. The fact that they have 1 female child before does not matter when your next child is male or female. Okay? I know a lot of people that would write 25% because they think the chance of getting a female child next is dependent on the chance of getting a female child the first time. So they will do 0.5 times 0.5, which is 0.25, which is the wrong answer. Therefore, the chance is still 50%. Okay? In rabbits, the allele for dark fur is dominant to the allele for white fur. The diagram shows the cross between a rabbit and dark fur and rabbit white fur. Okay. So in this case, it's a 50% split, 50-50 split, right? 50% of it is dark and 50% of it is white. Since the white rabbit is recessive, has recessive alleles, it will be 2 small r's. But for the big rabbit, it could be R, big R, small r, or 2 big r's. But since their offspring is a 50% for dark and 50% white fur, you could draw the Punnett square. The allele combination for the dark-furred rabbit has to be big R, small r, because that's the only way where the ratio would be 50% dark rabbits and 50% white rabbits. So the genotype of the parents would be A, big R, small r, and 2 small r's. Okay, question 34. The graph shows different heights of people in the human population. Which growth describes the variation shown by the graph? Okay, continuous or discontinuous? This height is an example of continuous variation because it's not, there's no one specific answer, right? Because there's decimals, right? And the answer is, it's not definite. There's no definite answer, right? Has intermediate phenotypes? Yes, because you can have 1.5 between 1 and 2, right? You can have 1 or 1.5 and then 1.7 and then 2, right? So it has intermediate phenotypes. The answer would be continuous, yes, B. Okay. Which statement about selective breeding is correct? Selective breeding involves humans, so A is wrong. Involves the struggle for survival, wrong. Selective breeding is artificial, so it has nothing to do with survival. It always involves one parent. Oh, it always involves only one parent. This is false. It can involve more than one parent. It involves parents that possess desirable features. Yes, this is the answer. Okay. People do selective breeding so that they can enhance the desirable features of the animal so that they can use it for whatever purpose they want to use it for. Right? So for example, cows that produce more milk are bred together so that their offspring will also produce milk. Also produces more milk. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Which process uses the principal source of energy input to biological systems? So principal source of energy input, that's only one, which is photosynthesis, right? It takes energy from the sun and it puts it into the biological systems. Okay. The diagram shows part of the carbon cycle, which process is shown by the arrows labeled X, right? So decomposers by process X would cause carbon dioxide to be released in the atmosphere. Consumers will also cause carbon dioxide released in the atmosphere, and producers also causes carbon dioxide to release in the atmosphere. So which of these do all three of decomposers, consumers, and producers produce, right? Which process does all of them do that releases carbon dioxide in the atmosphere? There's only one answer, it is respiration, right? Photosynthesis releases oxygen. Okay. Fossilization won't release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Combustion would, but it's less likely, right? The answer is D. You can't, the combustion of a decomposer was very, very small, right? The effect would not be as big as the respiration that they do, okay? A herd of red deer live in a forest that contains snakes and a large variety of birds. Which group of organisms is an example of a population? So all the red deer in the forest will be the example of a population, because a population is a group of animals in same species, right? The number of animals in the same species. Okay. 39. Which process makes use of a genetically engineered organism? A. Using bacteria to produce insulin. This is correct, because insulin is a human hormone. It's not produced by bacteria originally. So if you use bacteria to produce insulin, you're using a genetically engineered organism. Okay. The food web shows the feeding relationships in the woodland. If all the chaffinches in the food web die, which effect will this have? Okay. So if you have no more chaffinches, the number of caterpillars will increase because it has less predators. If the number of caterpillars increase, the effect on trees is that there'll be less trees. So therefore, there'll be less wood pigeons and less gray squirrels because they have less food to eat because there's more caterpillars. Okay? And because there's less gray squirrels and less wood pigeons, there will also be less sparrowhawks. Okay? So if all the chaffinches die, what effect will they have? The amount of damage to the trees will increase. That's the answer. Correct. The food supply for gray squirrels will increase. That's wrong because trees decrease. The number of wood pigeons will increase. That is wrong because trees decrease again. The population of caterpillars will decrease. That's wrong because caterpillars don't have a predator anymore. Population would increase. So that's it for this paper. Thank you for watching. See you next time.